Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The tension in Los Angeles had been building for weeks, an explosive keg of forbidden desire, ancient grudges, and the ever-present shadow of violence that seemed to stalk certain denizens of the glitzy Forrester world like a black cloud. The air at the Cliff House felt thicker than usual on Monday as Steffi Forrester Finnegan paced the living room, her eyes flashing with a mix of fear and rage. She had just completed telling the nightmare to her husband, John Finn Finnegan, and her father, Ridge Forrester, who had arrived after hearing parts of the commotion from Steffi earlier that day. Steffi's spine still tingled when she remembered Sheila Sharp coming into Taylor Hayes' bedroom at the Cliff home with a knife in her hand. It was more than simply an intrusion. It was a sharp reminder of the monster her mother was dealing with through Deacon Sharp. Steffi paused by the huge windows that overlooked the ocean, her hands clasped at her sides. "Dad, you have no idea how close we came to losing Mom," she continued, her voice quiet but sharp. Ridge scratched his temples, his distinctive scowl intensifying. He had already demanded explanations from Steffi and Finn as to why Taylor would violate his direct order to halt any growing romance she had with Deacon. Why would she do this? Ridge mumbled, echoing the question that had been on his mind. She knows he's married to a psychopath. Sheila doesn't just get jealous. She destroys lives. We've all seen it. Finn nodded solemnly, his doctor's instincts kicking in as he sought to quiet the room, but even he couldn't conceal his alarm. The family had previously rallied around Taylor, saving her from danger more times than they could count, but this seemed different. This was personal, reckless, and perhaps dangerous. Meanwhile, at Il Giardino, Deacon Sharp sat quietly at a corner table with his daughter Hope Logan Spencer and son Deke. The restaurant bustled with the typical noon clientele, but Deacon's thoughts were elsewhere. He sat back in his chair, trying to convey confidence while reassuring Hope. "I believe she is completely unaware of my relationship with Taylor," he answered, his voice firm despite the knot in his stomach. Hope exchanged a concerned look with Deke. She had previously supported her father's happiness, even when it was fraught with complications, but recent events had changed everything. "Dad, you can't be serious," Hope said, her voice full of irritation. "Sheila showed up at the Cliff House with a knife. That's not suspicion, that's a warning shot. If she puts it together that you were there with Mom, I don't even want to think about what happens next." Deacon chuckled dismissively, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. He thought he had completely buried his tracks. The late-night visit to Taylor, the escape out the window when Sheila appeared, it all felt like a close call that wouldn't haunt him. He had no idea that his massive miscalculation was already unraveling in real time. The pizza box left at the Cliff home, the sand on his boots from the seaside rendezvous, the way he had sneaked away barely in time, all of these minor details were like breadcrumbs leading straight to Sheila's mounting worry. Deacon's arrogance derived from years of avoiding bullets in his stormy life, but underestimating Sheila Carter Sharp was a mistake that may cost him more than his marriage. It could have fatal consequences. Back at the Cliff home, Steffi was not going to let the subject go easy. She turned to Ridge and Finn, her protective instincts on full display. "I warned Mom. I warned Deacon. This isn't some harmless fling. Sheila is capable of anything when she feels betrayed. Remember what she's done in the past? The shootings, the manipulations, the way she nearly tore this family apart time and again. If Taylor keeps seeing him, she's signing her own death warrant." Ridge's expression tightened. He had a difficult relationship with Taylor, his children's mother, and the notion of her in danger sparked a furious paternal and lingering romantic fire. "She's my children's grandmother, and I'm not going to stand by and watch her throw everything away for Deacon Sharp of all people." Finn placed a soothing hand on Steffi's shoulder, his calm manner contrasting with the building emotions. As a doctor, he had seen the physical toll that stress could have, but this was psychological warfare combined with very real physical risks. The scene went to Taylor's office, where the simmering conflict erupted. Sheila had cornered the psychiatrist, her eyes full of betrayal and wrath. Taylor, who was typically calm and professional behind her desk, sat motionless as Sheila's voice escalated. "Tell me the truth, Taylor. Are you the one sneaking around with my husband?" Taylor paused for a bit before expressing her thoughts for Deacon. "Yes, Sheila. We're in love. It's real." The words hung like a death sentence in the air. Sheila's face twisted as her greatest fear was confirmed in that moment. She had felt something was wrong. The strange pizza delivery to the Cliff House by no one from Il Giardino, the late hours, and Deacon's distant conduct. Everything made sense now. In a flash of rage, Sheila snatched the pizza cutter that Deacon had casually given earlier as part of his cover story, a considerate gesture converted into a weapon of intimidation. She wielded it menacingly, her words filled with malice. "You think you can just take what's mine? After everything I've built with Deacon?" Taylor drew away, raising her hands in a cry for calm. "Sheila, please don't do this. We don't have to become violent." But Sheila was beyond reason. She scrubbed Taylor's desk clean of papers and trinkets before hurling a beautiful mirror against the wall, smashing it into 1,000 shards that symbolized her broken trust. The sound echoed around the office, representing the breaking point of their twisted triangle. Taylor's heart hammered as she remembered the knife incident at the Cliff home and how narrowly she had escaped before. Sheila's history of violence was not ancient. It was seething beneath the surface, ready to erupt. Steffi, oblivious of the exact moment in Taylor's office, but experiencing the danger in her bones, resumed her lethal warning at home. She had previously met Deacon in person at Il Giardino in recent days, chastising him for luring her mother into his bed while married to a woman known for her violent temper. "Stay away from my mom," Steffi had pleaded him, her voice breaking with intense sorrow. "You're putting her in jeopardy every time you see her. If Sheila catches you two together, it won't be a slap on the wrist. It will be blood." Now, repeating the sentiment to Ridge and Finn, Steffi made it plain she had reached her limit. "If Mom doesn't end this, I don't know what I'll do. The kids love their grandmother, but I can't risk her life, or ours, because of Deacon's selfishness." Ridge paced, his designer instincts temporarily forgotten under the family turmoil. He had told Taylor to end the relationship, but her refusal hurt. Finn, ever the mediator, recommended they find a way to protect Taylor without driving her away, but Steffi's resolve was unwavering. Deacon's error was more than simply the pizza box or the sandy boots. It was a fundamental underestimate of Sheila's intelligence and perseverance. He told Hope that if Sheila had suspected the romance at the Cliff home, she would have exploded. Instead, she kept things cool, gathering evidence like a detective in her own twisted noir thriller. The pizza box hung in her mind like the smoking gun. Why was there evidence of a delivery that never took place through formal means? Who brought food to the Cliff home that night? Deacon's attempt to be safe by fleeing has simply postponed the inevitable. The walls were closing in as he sat with Hope and Deke, sipping his coffee and insisting that everything was in order. Deke, his son, shook his head in disbelief. "Dad, you almost got caught with a knife at your throat. This isn't a game." At Forrester Creations, another subplot simmered in the background, providing a brief respite from the storm. Carter Walton and his wife Daphne Rose Walton nervously awaited the results of a pregnancy test. Their marriage had been a whirlwind of passion and dedication, and they both yearned to grow their family. Carter, ever the optimist, took Daphne's hand and imagined himself as a dedicated father teaching his child about design and love. "No matter what the test says, we're in this together," he said softly. The expectation offered a layer of hope to an otherwise bleak day, reminding us that life in Los Angeles persisted in its cycles of creation and destruction. Steffi's warnings spread throughout the family network as the afternoon progressed. She urged Hope to talk sense into her father. "Deacon's blunder could kill my mother," Steffi remarked over the phone, her tone frantic. Hope, caught between loyalty to her father and real concern for Taylor, pledged to try, but she knew Deacon's mind was already up. Taylor, meanwhile, collected herself after Sheila's tirade in the office, tidying her desk with quivering hands. She adored Deacon, drawn to his charm and fortitude despite the destruction he caused. However, the smashed mirror on the floor served as a stark warning. Is this love worth the danger of Sheila's wrath? Ridge couldn't sit still and resolved to approach Taylor later that day. He entered her office just as she was cleaning up the mess, his eyes widening at the devastation. "Taylor, what the hell happened here?" She tried to downplay the situation, but Ridge was not convinced. "This is because of Deacon, isn't it? Steffi's right. This has to stop." Taylor justified her actions, her psychiatrist's training colliding with her wounded emotions. "I deserve happiness, Ridge. We've all made mistakes." However, Ridge's worry was tinged with his own unresolved emotions. The bold and the beautiful universe thrived on these interconnected relationships and rivalries, where one false move could lead to disaster. When a cryptic letter from Taylor arrived, telling him that Sheila knew more than he imagined, Deacon felt his first true panic. His huge miscalculation was a succession of underestimations, assuming Sheila's previous changes rendered her harmless, believing their secret rendezvous was infallible, and rejecting Steffi and others' pleas. As he stared at his phone, the reality hit him. Sheila was more than skeptical. She was validated in her worries and consumed by a rage that could kill. The day began with phone calls and whispered chats across the city. Finn checked up on Taylor professionally, expressing his support as both a doctor and a son-in-law. Steffi embraced her children tightly, promising silently to protect them from the effects. Hope and Deke were debating how to intervene without alienating their father. Brooke Logan, the Logan Forrester saga's ever-present voice of reason, chimed in with hope, telling her that love should never come at the expense of safety. By dusk, the Cliff House was alive with a family gathering. Steffi restated her lethal warning, her words bearing the weight of experience. Deacon's blunder paved the way for this nightmare. If he truly cares about Mom, he'll leave before Sheila finishes what she started today. Ridge concurred, his voice booming with rage. Finn intervened, offering treatment or distance, but the underlying anxiety persisted. Sheila's admission of the affair had triggered something fundamental within her. The pizza cutter, the knife, and the shattered glass were warning signs of impending disaster. Taylor sat alone afterward, thinking about the day's events. Her connection with Deacon had begun simply enough, as a spark of understanding between two souls who had endured storms. But now it threatens to consume everything. Deacon drove through Los Angeles streets, replaying Steffi's previous clashes in his head. Her fatal warning was not exaggerated. It was a mother's frantic plea. His blunder had put the lady he claimed to love in danger, and the consequences were unraveling faster than he could control. As night settled over the city, the characters in the bold and the beautiful braced for the storm. Steffi's resolve hardened into a promise to defend her family at whatever cost. Deacon's arrogance crumbled, exposing the weakness beneath. Sheila's rage simmered, her next move uncertain but frightening. Taylor was torn between love and survival. One Monday changed everything in the worlds of fashion, family, and forbidden love. The lethal warning had been sent, the massive miscalculation revealed, and the impact guaranteed to reverberate through every relationship in its path. The anxiety did not subside with the sunset. Steffi lay awake beside Finn, her mind racing with the worst-case scenarios. What if Sheila did not back down in the face of threats? What if your next encounter entailed more than just a pizza cutter or a shattered mirror? She had seen Sheila's potential for destruction far too often. The woman who had previously shot her own son, faked deaths, and twisted her way into the Forrester orbit. This wasn't ratings drama. It was genuine peril wrapped up in the glitz of soap opera existence. Deacon was cautious as he returned to the apartment he shared with Sheila. The sand in his boots had been observed, and queries regarding the pizza remained unanswered. He kissed Sheila goodnight with fake warmth, but his thoughts turned to Taylor. His error had been presuming that stillness equaled ignorance. Sheila's worst fears were verified, and her reaction in Taylor's office demonstrated she would not go gently. Hope's words lingered in his ears. The knife at the Cliff home had served as a wake-up call that he had long disregarded. Ridge, meantime, met with Brooke to talk about the family situation. His own convoluted experience made him sympathetic to Taylor's desire for happiness, but not at this cost. Steffi's right to warn her. Deacon's playing with fire, and Taylor's the one who'll get burned. Brooke nodded, her Logan optimism dampened by years of witnessing Forrester-Sharp catastrophe. The coming week would bring additional confrontations, Ridge's astonishment growing, Finn, Steffy, and Ridge banding together to protect the family, Hope protecting her father despite the consequences, and Deacon having a devastating chat with Sheila about their deteriorating marriage. But on this Monday, the focus stayed sharp. Steffy's lethal warning had broken through the denial, and Deacon's massive misstep had set off the fuse. The pizza cutter lay dumped in Taylor's office garbage, a commonplace object transformed into a symbol of fear. The fractured mirror showed fragmented futures for everyone concerned. Love in Los Angeles was never easy, but this triangle had gone dangerously wrong. Steffy would not give up. Taylor's decision was in the balance. Deacon's regret was only beginning. And what about Sheila? Her response would characterize the next few weeks, a storm that no one could fully predict, but everyone feared. As the clock struck midnight, the city lights twinkled under the Cliff House, unconcerned by the human tragedies happening above. Families like the Forresters and Logans had already endured scandals, betrayals, and even assassination attempts. But this time, with Sheila's wrath fueled by Deacon's negligence, the stakes were higher than ever. Steffy's voice lingered in the air like a prophecy. Stay away or suffer the consequences. Deacon's blunder had made it impossible to ignore. The drama of passion, protection, and danger proceeded, with each individual navigating their positions in a web that tighter with every secret revealed and warning delivered. In the end, it was a classic bold and beautiful clash, bold hearts colliding with beautiful but dangerous desires, and one mistake could change everything forever. Tension reaches a climax as emotions escalate and deadly lines are drawn. Steffy is forced into a corner, and this time she refuses to be silent. Her dread rapidly transforms to furious determination as she issues a scary warning that might change everything. The sincerity in her voice is undeniable. She's willing to go to any length to defend her family, and anyone who stands in her way will suffer the consequences. Meanwhile, Deacon unintentionally triggers a chain reaction that may be impossible to stop. What he thought was a simple decision suddenly becomes a big disaster, putting him right in the heart of a building maelstrom. As truths emerge, Deacon learns too late that he may have miscalculated the danger's depth. Panic sets in as he scrambles to undo what he's done, but each step just seems to make matters worse. Elsewhere, suspicions mount and alliances are tested. The weight of past secrets begins to weigh hard on everyone involved, and the fissures become difficult to ignore. Steffy's warning grows stronger as the crisis approaches, prompting others to wonder if they should have listened earlier. Trust becomes a scarce commodity, and every discussion feels burdened with hidden meaning. As the drama heats up, the stakes rise with each passing instant. One wrong action might have disastrous effects, and not everyone will escape unscathed. Steffy holds steadfast, refusing to back down, while Deacon confronts the reality of his actions and the chaos they have caused. The tension between terror and control creates a captivating atmosphere in which anything is possible. With emotions running high and danger lurking around every turn, the question remains, who will take control before it's too late? And, when the dust settles, will anyone be able to avoid the consequences, or has the harm already been done? Stay tuned, for the next twist may affect everything in ways no one expects.